Welcome back to Fear and Beer, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. Join us as we venture year-round into the fog.
Make sure you give us a like and a follow on your podcast platform of choice. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube page where we upload every episode in its video format, and maybe a few other surprises as well.
Make sure you're following us on social media to keep up to date with our newest haunted content.
I'm Nick.
I'm Seamus.
I'm Jamie.
Hate to be the guy. Hate to be that guy, but we got a couple weeks left of Horror Nights. Only a couple. About 3 weeks left. Hate to be that guy. Gotta be.
You don't hate to be that guy. Why would you do that to people?
No,
Come on
hate
now.
to be it. Hate being that guy,
Come
but there's
on.
still plenty more little nights in the fog that we can spend together. We can polish the season off, but we're not completely there yet. We're not. But I think this is a good enough time. We know kind of what 34 is at this point. Now the last couple of weeks is just more enjoying of enjoying what we want to enjoy some more of, but we know what it is. So we're going to take a look back at HHN33 and compare it against HHN34. We're talking scare zone locations head on. We're talking originals versus originals, and we're talking IPs against IPs. So I'm curious because it's been a little bit, been almost a year since we've kind of really dove into 33. So I think time is going to create a little bit of a discussion point for us because we might remember stuff more fondly or worse off than it was. I know it's not as fresh in my mind as yours as well. It might be, but I'm not completely like 100% on 33. I still have stuff that might pop up and I forget about, but we'll see if we can kind of remind each other of stuff that happened in 33 because we might miss stuff. But I think it's a good time to kind of compare the previous year versus this year and kind of see where they stack up against each other. I think as a whole, we kind of agree it's much better off this year. But I'm going to be surprised to see what the little battles we get are kind of comparing houses. So that's what we have today. A little bit of house cleaning before we get into our beers. We did just finally release our HHN34 scavenger hunt. 7 teams, about 20-something people, lots of ridiculous nonsense that happened. There may or may not have been a cheater, and you'll have to kind of view that to find out. So head over to our YouTube page. It's about 50-something minutes long. It is a monster of a video. It is fun. I had a great time with it. It's doing extremely well. It's already, I think, our most viewed thing on Instagram or YouTube. So that's a good sign. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. Jamie, what are your thoughts on the little scavenger hunt? Because I made you watch it with me.
It was a lot of fun, and I got to give credit to Nick. The video ended up coming out really great. He worked very hard on it, compiling all of 7 teams and 20-something people's footage and everything. And just thanks to everyone who did it with us for the second year in a row. This was so much fun, and since it was the second year, I hope we continue to do and make this a tradition.
Oh, yes, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Seamus, have you been able to watch it yet? See what nonsense and shenanigans we were up to?
I'm going to lie and say, yeah, I watched it. It was amazing. I'm so happy for you, and you guys are really great. But in honesty, no, I haven't watched it yet. But I've heard good things. I guess, from someone who wasn't there because I'm a poor bastard. But thank you, everybody, for joining because, without everybody else joining, I don't think the video would be as big a hit. So
God, no. If it was just us, fuck no.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that we have people that actually care enough to stop and do that, even though I wasn't there, and it's okay.
It's a fun little thing. Still fun. And the other little bit of house cleaning, the Helping Pups episode. We haven't put out an episode since then. We wanted to kind of give it a little moment to breathe to help get some money for Alex and his little pup, Lily. Last I heard, she's at home. She's doing great. She's recovering very well. The Helping Pups episode so far, we've raised just a little over $800, somewhere in that ballpark. So thank you so much to everybody who chipped in. I know money is always a tight issue around these times, whether it's in my position where I'm choosing to forego going to work so I can enjoy the fog. But times are tough. It's all over the board. It's not one person. It's not two people. It's a lot of people. So the fact that you are able to open your wallets and extend that to somebody you have not met for an episode really does mean a lot. I know to all of us that did the episode, but to Alex as well. I've sent the money over towards him. He's putting it right onto his little vet bills, and we're getting squared up. If you do want to purchase that episode still or donate, we are still accepting donations. Go to our Instagram. You can find one of our posts about it. If you cannot find the post, just message us. I will direct you where to go. It is literally any monetary amount. You could send me $1 and I will send you the link to listen to this episode. It's an amazing episode. Almost 3 hours long, 2 hours and 40 minutes. We are doing it was a mid-season rankings battle with us, Matt from the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights. I'm going off the top of my head now, so I'm kind of spitballing here, but Michael from Hallowed Thrills, Kenneth from Rush of Fear and Pangolin, of course, myself, Jamie, and Seamus. And we had Dakota on from Catholic Coaster. And am I forgetting anybody? That's everybody, I think.
Don't put me on the spot because I hate if I end up forgetting people.
I put myself on the spot, so I'm going to do my due diligence really quick and just double check because I do not want to forget anybody. I think that was everybody.
I do think that was everyone.
Yes.
I wasn't paying attention. So I hope you were right because I don't know.
Yes, but either way, like I said, you can listen to this episode for as little as $1. So message us, get in on that episode. It goes on a great cause. And what we were doing was for every $5, you got a raffle ticket towards a Fear and Beer raffle. It's going to be, I think, 2 T-shirts, the Fear and Beer Monster shirt and the All Night Die-In or the Let's All Go to the Lobby shirt, some stickers, some pins, some koozies. So what I'm going to do now, bear with me because this is something I don't do often, but I'm going to do a little screen share, and I have there we go. So I have, can you guys see that? Is that showing through? Yeah, a little bit on the video. So I have everybody's names in here that entered. We got everybody. This is all from Venmos and PayPals and everything. Lots of Lydias, lots of Shanes. Thank you very much. Lots of Jasons. Thank you very much. And what I'm going to do is I haven't even randomized it yet. So I'm going to shuffle all these names. So they are in completely random order now. You can kind of see as I'm scrolling. And this is just a one-off. This is one winner. So I have to click this to spin, and let's find a winner. It's very, very entertaining if you're just listening.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's like a carnival game.
Lydia! Hey!
Yay!
All right. I don't even have to search through my Venmos and PayPals because I know who that is. So
I don't. So congratulations, Lydia.
If you are not listening, I will message you. I might let this sit for a day or two. Maybe I'll contact them on Saturday just to see if they were listening. But let's get back to the show here. So Lydia, I will be in contact with you, and I think you and Aaron are going to be rocking some new shirts pretty soon.
Yay!
And I don't even have to ship it out. Even better. All righty. Beer. Let's get into the beer. It's October. Everybody knows what I'm drinking. That's Shipyard Pumpkinhead, baby. Crack this thing open with my little 5-pound bottle opener. And yeah, it's October. It's the Pumpkinhead season. I'm sorry that it's nothing fun or exotic, but you've been here for long enough. You've been here for almost 5 years. If you've been listening to us since the beginning, if you haven't, and this is your first October, this is all I drink. This is October beers. Maybe an Oktoberfest here and there, but Pumpkinhead is my go-to. It's easiest to find. But Jamie, what are you sipping on? You got something. Is it just fancy water?
No, it's not fancy water. It's the apple cider that you've been drinking that I haven't had to get any of. So I wanted to make sure I got some before it was all gone.
You should have known to get two gallons of that.
I don't really like it this one as much.
Well, then stop drinking it. Save it for me because I like it.
It's honestly, it just puts me in the fall mood, so that's why I wanted to drink it for the episode. But it's a little too spiced for me.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect the way it is. Don't ever talk bad
It's a
about
little,
the apple
it's a little
cider.
thick.
You're gonna stop. Thick is not a problem, okay? Thick
You
is
know what? That is okay.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, down with.
So they
Not
say.
saying that I've ever been told that, but I've heard that.
Ooh, come on and get down with the thickness. All right. That's enough nonsense. Let's get into it. HHN 33 versus 34. I think it's best to just start with the scare zones because we're comparing them sort of just by location. And obviously with this year, San Francisco is sort of a street experience, but we're still holding it up against the zone from last year. Mel's Die-In, the zombies we did not include just because there's nothing to really compare against. So let's dive in. The entrance zone, the little minion area. Last year we had Duality of Fear, and this year we have the Origins of Horror. Seamus, do you want to just dive into your I guess points on I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a
This is easy,
straightforward one.
right? I mean,
Sorry,
we all
I was
agree
turning
that
the
this
TV
year
off.
is a lot better than not just last year, the last like 3 or 4 years. I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything that since before COVID, this zone hasn't been like given any attention or any care. Not to say that like they didn't put a lot of effort in, but like just doesn't compare. I mean, you didn't really have much of a scare zone last year, and the year before you had a little bit, but it wasn't a scare zone. It was more of like a Oddfellow meet and greet. So yeah, I don't think there's really much of a comparison. I think this year is it's just back to what we were getting before the world shut down.
It is sort of an unfair matchup. It's like I feel like
Yeah.
one's fighting with one hand tied behind its back because it's like
Mhm.
this year we have stilt walkers, chainsaws, and like weird little statue people. So we have a variety of different characters. We actually have an extension all the way through Minions Land or Minion Alley or whatever it's called. We have props. We have those cool little stone carved out statues of the logos of the IPs. We have a full-fledged zone up there, and Duality of Fear just was not that. We had drapes. We had a red drape and a blue drape. The cool part that I will say, when they were Sinister and Surreal up on the truss, that was pretty cool. That was fun.
It's different.
But again, not enough to completely set it aside and be like, oh my God, this is the beacon of the event. This is like the shining moment, the example of how to excel in a zone. No, that wasn't. They were just kind of put up there, which really cool. But that's like a great cherry on top of a good sundae. Simply, we were left with just the cherry on top, and that was it. No sundae. So I don't know. It's Origins of Horror by a landslide, I say. But Jamie, any other thoughts, or it's pretty much the same?
I mean, you guys kind of went over everything. I'm glad you mentioned Sinister and Surreal on the arch because I did like that too. I thought that was a fun touch, and it was really cool seeing him up there. Felt like, even though it's a little debatable, it felt like having the icon welcome us into the event, which was fun. But that zone just felt incomplete with how it was when you first walked in. You had Sinister and Surreal and a couple scattered about chainsaws, if I'm not mistaken, but then just when you would veer off in the Oddfellow, it just felt so out of place. And I feel like this year with Origins of Horror, it feels more like a complete zone, which we haven't seen in a couple of years, which is nice. And it's obviously not my favorite, but it's better than we've had what we've had.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. So I think it's a consensus 3-0 versus Origins of Horror.
Mhm.
Everybody
think so.
agrees? Yeah. All right. Let's take a little right-hand turn. Let's go to Hollywood. This is the interesting one. Last year we had Demon Queens, and this year we have Masquerade Dance with Death. Both different in their own ways. Both have sort of an elegantness to it, I guess, if that's a word. Both are very classy zones.
And elegance.
Very elegant. I think the little side stage props are much better this year. We have pretty elaborate sets with them kind of murdering victims, I guess. I think there's 3 of them or 4 of them. I could be mistaken, but last year we essentially had those like little purple portals, and that was kind of it. They looked cool, but it was pretty basic. People weren't on them, I don't think. I don't think they were for people to stand on. They were just kind of strewn about the sides of the streets. There was a big structure in the middle last year, I believe, because that's where the Demon Queens would kind of do their big seance-y thing. So the
Yeah.
stage show aspect of it is pretty cool. There is a little stage show element to Masquerade as well. I think it might be a little shorter this year. We've caught it a couple times, but it is a quick little in and out kind of thing. They I don't know what they do, but the 4 stilt walkers kind of circle around that centerpiece saying something. I can't tell you what they say, but all the vamps or whatever kind of stop what they're doing, watch, and then when it breaks, they kind of go out and do their thing. So Seamus, I know you're a fan of both of these. Where's your head at in this little battle?
I think I've got Masquerade. I don't want to say like blowing the last year's out of the water, but I definitely think it's got a pretty strong lead. I think there's just more going on. It's better lit. It's easier to see what's see and interpret a lot of what's happening. Plus, I think there's more cohesion than there was last year. I appreciated the costumes last year and the various characters, but I didn't think there was much of a story or some sort of cohesive narrative kind of stemming from start to finish. This year, I feel like there's more to that. Plus, I've said it before, I just enjoy vampires, so
Yeah,
I like that side of it. So
yeah. Jamie?
I gotta go with Seamus on this one. I also enjoy Masquerade more than I do Demon Queens. I feel like now, looking back at it, it's funny when you had mentioned earlier in the episode that you'll probably remember a couple things when you're talking about it. It just feels like they were similar, how you said, in that like elegance and the very elaborate costume work and everything. And for both zones, all of the scare actors have been great. That little stage performance that they do, I really enjoy. We haven't seen it as much as we did with Demon Queens, though. It's like the chandelier thing that they do in the middle and then they sacrifice one of them. I really like it. But like Seamus said, I do like vampires, but that's not the only thing that sways me. I just find myself more and more walking through the zone and slowly walking through it and just admiring all the costumes and the scare actors, and I just can't get enough of the vampire makeup look that they did with it. It just looks like the really like actual bat vampire makeup look, and all of them have just been really, really good in their positions, and especially the stilt walkers and the people on the little stages who have the little performances, just very interactive too, and all around. I feel like usually we see ourselves more in the New York zone, kind of hanging out, chilling in there, and I feel like we've been doing that a little bit more over here this year, which has been nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Masquerade, I think, takes it.
Mhm.
I like the sets are better. I do like the variety of the Demon Queens. I liked how they were all drastically different from one another, so it gave a little bit of variety there. But other than the queens, it was kind of the people in the black cloaks or something like that. It's sort of like
Yeah.
henchmen.
Mhm.
I might be confusing that with Dark Zodiac, but
Me too. That's what I was just thinking. I was like, I keep thinking, like, confusing it with Dark Zodiac, I think.
yeah, I mean, those two were very similar. It was
Mhm.
both that dark purpley kind of deal. But either way, I think the characters in Masquerade differ enough from each other where it's still very fun. Different colored dresses, different suits. I think I like the Demon Queen's costumes of the queens better than I like really anything in there, but that's not enough to win over for me. So I got to go with Masquerade Dance with Death.
Thanks.
Jamie, we have Central Park next. This is Swamp of the
Yes.
Undead versus the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane. Do you want to kind of go into these two a little bit from what you remember?
And see, this is very tough too. Swamp of the Undead. Was this the one with, I'd felt like the,
You're thinking of Jungle of Doom.
oh my god, I am thinking Jungle of what the Swamp of the Undead. Oh my gosh, with the see, I keep getting these
Yeah.
years confused. Oh my gosh, a lot of these have been so similar in the past couple. Swamp of the Undead was all the zombies, like the
Mhm.
swamp zombies kind of thing, and the
Bayou, yep.
bayou kind of stuff. Okay, well, if that art doesn't say enough, I mean, Cat Lady obviously has won me over for this one, but Swamp of the Undead was fun in the sense that they really utilized the fog to their advantage when it kind of masked over the ground, making it look like that kind of like watery effect. And it did give growing up in Florida, it was very southern, like with the shack up in the side area and the grass and just the different characters, the alligators and little different animals that you would see walking around. But there wasn't really much variety that I recall with the different scare actors in the zone. I think it was a lot of just zombies and kind of like tethered, like work looking clothes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really hard to pick out favorites or like decipher from what was what. When you look at Cat Lady of Crooked Lane, I mean, you have a whole story that's being told literally as you're walking through the zone. When you see the trick-or-treaters turning into the cats, all the different cats, the cat's wearing pants, the cat's wearing a sailor suit, they're just so stinking cute, the hairless cat, all of them. I mean, the big stage show that you have at the end of the scare zone, and then the little hut that you could walk off through in the scare zone and get a couple of those cat scares in there too. Just a lot of stuff that we haven't really seen in that area in a while, and the fact that they extended it out so much has really made it more enjoyable for me, and I think a lot of other people too. There's just a lot going on, but it's good that there's a lot going on, because sometimes it would get a little congested in that whole middle strip right there. Well, now it gets congested at the end, but that's not the point. But either way, I think the zone has a lot going for it, and it's very fun storytelling wise and looks wise, which I feel like you usually get one or the other in a scare zone.
Yeah. Seamus, what are your thoughts on these two like Central Park competitors?
Yeah, again, I don't think this one's close. I think
Yeah.
Cat Lady is just some of the best scare zone work that we've seen in years. And not just compared to last year. I think Swamp was okay. I've had my complaints with it. I think the fog was, unlike what Jamie thinks, I think it was too much. I think they didn't know how to control it to the point where it wasn't like just walking through
They were loaded
a blanket of nothingness. But Cat Lady, it just works. Compare between the set piece and the show and all of the various costuming, and the mini kind of like little mini house they have at the end of it. Yeah, I just think it's probably one of the best scare zones we've had in a long time. And we've talked about it before. I would not be surprised if we get a house in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I forgot to say that too.
Yeah, I think the progression of this scare zone is really cool too, because it is like that story sense where if you start up at the gates, like walking in normal from park entrance towards park exit, it progresses, right? Like you get the trick-or-treaters, and then halfway you get these like hybrid cat people, and then you have the cats, and then you have the cat lady. It's a really fun way of telling a story, which is really nice. Other than just like a scare zone, it actually says something. It's riddled with props. Now, Swamp of the Undead was also riddled with props. I remember that thing being very full. You had the little shack kind of hut thing, which maybe they initially were wanting to do something like what they did this year, having a show element of sorts. But I don't remember, there wasn't a big element to it. It was just a big prop. You did have the big like fan boat and stuff in there, which was pretty cool.
Airboat in there.
Yeah, the alligator kind of just chilling in there. Lots of fun little details, but again, I think I agree with everything you've said so far, where it was heavy on the fog. It was the unfortunate part of really anything zombie oriented. It did become a little too samey. As you said, it was all just kind of like little redneck zombies, like dressed up in old timey clothes. So it is what it is. I think it was a perfectly fine scare zone, but when you're comparing it to something that does go above and beyond with stretching outside of the zone with a big stage element, with the little extra, mini boo hole hallway or whatever, I just don't think you really can compare them. So I think this is another 3-0 sweep, and sorry 33, but it's not looking too hot so far. But next up, we have San Francisco. This is an interesting one because one is not a scare zone. That would be in Club Horror. That is a street experience. And it's going up against something that really also didn't feel like a scare zone. Enter the Blumhouse. It felt more like a photo op. So I guess it's kind of more fair to compare these two because neither feel like a scare zone.
Is it though? Is it really fair?
They don't feel...
I think it's fair.
I don't think it's fair because I think one was a moving advertisement and the other one is at least fun.
A moving headache.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, I mean, what is there to compare? Club Horror, we know what it is. It's a fun little experience. It's a great place to just vibe out and chill. A little loud, but that's nothing, know. And then Enter the Blumhouse, which had, a little mini Purge set, Black Phone set. That's all I remember, honestly.
Yeah. That's all there really was.
Bottleneck.
Bottleneck. The stages looked cool. They had cool little triggers and the lighting was nice. But it is just, I don't think you can really compare them.
Mhm.
Enjoyment level for me, I never really caught myself being like, I want to go hang in the Blumhouse zone. There was a couple people that I knew in that zone, so it was fun to go and grab pics of them and have a good time. And all the actors did their part, but it really was a photo op for Megan and a photo op for the grabber. And that was the biggest problem
Pretty
with
much.
last year's, is that they didn't space them out either. So that front stage over by more towards that little candy store was just riddled with people.
There
It
was
a
zero
sea of
reason to
people.
have the two of them literally like next to each other.
Yeah, like you knew those
Zero
were
reason
both.
for that. You could have put
Yeah.
one either in the middle or on the other side, and then
Mhm.
kept one on where they were. But by doing that, you're just like, hey, guess what? There's going to be no room to walk through here because there's going to be 1,000 people trying to get pictures with Megan.
Yep.
Or with the grabber.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
And it didn't help that that's where Major Sweets exited from.
Yeah, right.
That
Exactly.
year.
That doesn't help either.
Not at all. So I mean, I'm in Club Horror. That's my vote. I don't think.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on these?
If for nothing more than you can literally buy alcohol in Club Horror and in Clubhouse, you couldn't. So
Is it bad that I want to pick Blumhouse?
no,
you
because
can pick whatever. But
to be fair, and this isn't me trying to be sexist, but you're a female, and they don't have dancing naked men in that.
Oh,
section.
no, it's
They
not even
only
that.
have-
It's just.
Oh no, I'm not saying that it is or that it
I
isn't.
love
but
the
like,
women. I think they look great and they're hot. It's just every time I'm walking through there, if you're not absolutely wasted, I feel like it's not that fun. And it's really loud. Maybe I'm getting fucking old, but I feel like my head is just pounding every time I walk through there. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
100%.
this
Yeah,
was
that's
this was kind
definitely
of this was kind of cool at first. After I didn't hear this track 7 other times earlier when we walked by it too, and I've never once. You guys have hung out in there more than I have. I've never once gotten a drink in Club Horror. I hate standing and drinking. I wish they had chairs like they did in the Peacock Bar. It was so much nicer over there. If they had like the Club Horror setup, like how the Peacock Bar was set up in the back, kind of more secluded, I think I would have liked it better. I don't know. I just feel like they could have added like at least some sort of like street, more like scare actors like in it. I know they have like the girls on stage dancing, but I don't know. It's just a little lackluster for me. There's really nothing else.
Yeah,
I noticed the other day, sorry to cut you off, Seamus, but I almost forgot
you're
about
good.
this, that they have a bunch of different like skulls, like bull skulls, it looks like, and like antlers and stuff like in the trusses now that they have tied to the trusses. I don't know if you've ever seen that either, Nick.
No, I don't think so.
It looks
that doesn't ring a
similar.
bell.
It looks similar to the masks that they're wearing, those kind of like tusks and skulls and
Okay.
stuff like that. Next time, go look because they were there. I noticed it on the side where you're walking in from like the back end of it. But I feel like they had a little more something now. And I wish the music was different. I wish that they could play house music. That's fun, EDM, all that kind of stuff, real fun. But I just wish it had like a spookier vibe to it. When I think Club Horror, it's just more.
I agree.
It's just more a club to me, which is
No, I'm
totally
with you
cool.
there.
It is something different, but I just wish it had that more horror to it.
Yeah, I wish it felt more like a Halloween party than just a EDM concert.
Correct.
And I'm with you there. I think both of these feel very slapped together, very, we don't
And I'm
know what
not
to put in San
saying
Francisco.
Blumhouse
and-
was the best, but I like the Grabbers. That's my own bias, but
No, I mean, I can see the argument for Blumhouse just because at least there's something Halloween about it. There's something horror movie about it. There's something, even if it feels like a cash grab or like an advertisement for Blumhouse,
And
it still felt like there was some substance to it.
Yes.
Whereas Club Horror is kind of just like club music, drinking, girls dancing, and there's not a whole lot else to it. So I'm with you there. I think neither gave you a whole lot of reason to stop other than to be like, hey, let's grab a picture, or hey, let's for like 5 minutes and then you keep walking.
Yeah.
So yes, it's kind of lesser of two evils, and really, I think. And for me, I think it's just, it's Club Horror just because I think there's a little more to stop and do.
Yeah.
But you're right. I wish they had maybe given you more options to kind of just chill and hang out if the music wasn't so loud, if it was more of a
and it's very
Halloween
bright,
party vibe.
which was my thing too. It's very bright in that
flashy.
like middle area. I would have been like, I don't know, when I think of it, maybe I just think of like Blade like nightclub, like that kind of thing.
I wish.
But that would have been
I wish
sick.
it was like the party at Zion from The Matrix.
Late 90s, mid 2000s,
Yeah.
like
Just all
slow-mo,
new metal.
Strobe
new
lights.
metal,
Red.
strobe light scenes,
Get some Marilyn Manson playing.
9 Inch Nails. Oh,
weird
sick.
shit's happening all like you don't know what's going on.
Chicks are just drinking blood. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going club horror still.
That's okay.
I do agree with pretty much everything you guys said, where it feels like club horror is the start of a really good idea. I just don't think they got all the way there yet. I hope
like
this
that point.
continues.
Mhm.
But it's a great starting point, I think, for what they're
Yeah,
trying
I would
to do.
rather them like keep San Francisco kind of like this. Like, don't try to fit a scare zone in there anymore. Keep it more of like a street experience with music
Mhm.
of some kind, and maybe add a few more scare actors. Like Jamie said, I feel like if they had more than just the girls dancing, if they had people that were more interactive and they were like walking with you and kind of like in the middle and dancing and stuff, I think that would maybe add to it a little bit. But
Yeah, absolutely. So I do think club horror takes it with this one, though, 2-1. Jamie's the lone vote for 33. So
That's okay.
It's fighting. It's
Had to
fighting
show
at
him some
least.
love, I know.
33 is starting to put up a fight, hopefully. So let's move over to our last zone, and that is New York. Now, Seamus, this is Torture Fair versus Mutations, Toxic 20s. I think this is probably the closest battle we're going to have. So do you want to dive into these a little bit? Because I know these are, at least last year's Torture Fair was up there for you.
Torture Fair was one of my favorites. I think they did a really good job with it. I like the set pieces. I still don't understand why they had the barriers kind of just in the middle of the zone. Other than that, I think it was a it was a resounding success for a year that seemed kind of lean. And this year, Toxic 20s, it's fun. A lot more going on as far as like set pieces. There's a lot of things to look at. I don't think the scare actors are as varied this year as they were last year. Lots of the same, like you have the cops and then you've got a number of people that are infected. Then you've got some monsters, which kind of look like monsters from other houses we've seen in the past. There's definitely at least one scare actor that looks like the scare actor from whatever it was, San Francisco, with all the random monsters, like the Fishman mask. I don't know what you even call it, but
the Shipyard 32.
yeah, there was definitely like a shipyard mask that resembles a mask in
and
Toxic.
Taffy from Major Sweets is in there roaming around.
Yeah, yep. So I think that they are reusing some assets this year, but it's fun. I think it is it's a close battle. I don't think it's something you can pick one or the other pretty easily anyways. And I think for me, I'm going to go Torture Fair just because I think it's different in a lot of ways. Not to say that Toxic 20s wasn't different. There's just something about it that that's just not sticking with me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's that one end of it feels very empty.
It is. That kills it for me a little bit. I don't know why. I just can't explain it.
I think part of it's the construction. I think that there's really very little reason to be on that end. A lot of times it's just you can kind of cut off towards the Fallout food booth and go that way. There's really no reason to go all the way around. And I feel like you're kind of missing out on some of it. But I don't know. I'm not wild about like the Roaring 20s theme, to be honest with you. It doesn't really do much for me. And I feel like it's kind of disjointed. Like there's this, we've talked about it, where it feels kind of weird. Like there's the whole BuzzCon, everybody's infected thing along with the 20s and the booze, like no booze thing. And it's like, I don't know what they're going for. I wish I understood it better, because it's like, is the booze a problem? Like where is, like, I know it's supposed to be prohibition, but what does it have to do with the BuzzCon, everything kind of being infected? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just kind of saying things to say things, but I feel like with Torture Fair, there was like a concise idea. It was a concise theme, and it fit from start to finish.
Yeah. My thing on this is, for whatever reason, we're even in New York, but I still don't feel like I'm in New York when I'm in the zone, if that makes sense. Whereas like I'm looking at the list of the past zones and New York, like Torture Fair, for whatever reason, like I felt like I was in there. The music was playing. It was I felt like I was at that medieval fair, whatever. Same thing with Vamp 69. The whole zone, like I felt I was at that concert. Even Seek and Destroy, Sweet Revenge, like I felt like I was in those stories. This Mutations one, I really don't feel like I'm completely in there. Maybe that's to Seamus's point where the story is kind of like loosely all tied together. Like you have the newspaper clippings, you have the labels on the canisters in the back of the truck that spilt over that say BoozCon, but like it's not so in your face. Like you can miss those two details and have no idea what the story fully is. I do think like with the construction saying the tribute store not being there, that little corner that tells the story is sort of forgotten. So I think that plays into the immersive part of it. When I walk through, I'm simply just seeing like slimed people and like some sort of mutated things. And there's like a big rat box. Like, why is that so big now? Like, I don't, it's kind of weird. I don't know. I'm also with you, Seamus. I think I'm selecting Torture Fair in this one. But Jamie, what are your thoughts between these two?
I think you guys hit the nail on the head with this one. It's quite unfortunate because I was really looking forward to Mutations, and it's not that I don't like this scare zone. I think you said it perfectly, Nick. I just feel like with Torture Fair, like you kind of felt you were there. With Vamp 69, you kind of felt like you were there. With this one, and it's funny, I didn't really think of it that way, but even you said, like, we're in New York, like this is New York, and it just doesn't feel like that. I feel like it just didn't feel as complete. I feel like the stage show aspect is on the end where we don't have many props, and it kind of leads into the darkness off in front of the Jimmy Fallon ride, which, like you guys said, it could be because of construction and stuff, but I feel like that area was like the big stage setup for Torture Fair, and we would watch all the different torture devices and the king and queen doing the torture on the peasants and whoever and stuff like that. And I feel like we've sat and watched in Mutations that little cop car area with the guy and the megaphone, and there is one prop that I've only seen it go up one time, I think, from like the contamination like barrel in the back, but it's just not enough for me to want to sit and stay and watch and look at the other different stuff in the zone because there really isn't that much to watch. I feel like if they kind of, how they have the rat-a-tap like arch at the other end, if they kind of had one on the opposite end too to kind of complete it all together and maybe just pull it together a little bit more, it would have been different. But just, I don't know. Like you said, it just kind of felt like a lot of different characters roaming around with not much of that story going on.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they utilize enough of the set pieces, like the Prohibition set piece. Like they don't do enough. There's not enough going on. Like it might be like every hour that somebody comes out of there, but it feels just kind of unused. It feels very like, why am I like, I'm not going to stop and wait because there's nothing happening.
Yeah, he just comes out with a trigger and like, and then goes back into the hole. Like you said, the stage element, right? Like this year we have the guy with the megaphone who's just, lipping to the audio. That's the same little loop versus, we had the whole demonstration of the kills last year with Sinister was up there with the King and the Queen. Vamp 69 had they had a stage show. They had a kill on there as well. This one, it's not as much of a stage presence, which New York has sort of been known for the last couple of years at least. So I think that's why I feel that way. So I'm assuming, Jamie, you're going Torture Fair as well?
I am going to go with Torture Fair, yes.
All right. Well, 33 took one zone. They took one. They're heating up towards the end, that's for sure. So that's that. Scare zones as a whole, though, I think we can agree 34 is the way to go. Streetwise, if you're looking at it.
It's not close. It's not super close.
No, I don't think so either.
And I just wanted to clarify, too, before we finish it up, when we first started with the Origins of Horror Scare Zone, I'm a friggin' idiot, and I realized I was comparing it to the Oddfellow Scare Zone. I don't know if you guys caught on with that, but I was like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm crazy. But
I didn't even notice.
Well, that's good. Well, I know one of the listeners probably would have heard it and been like, what is she talking about? So to clarify, I did like the Origins of Horror better than the Sinister and Surreal Zone draping archway that we had. Duality of Fear, yes.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on then. We are not comparing by location for houses just because
No, it's more
IPs
just-
versus originals. It's not
just
as
originals versus
Perfect.
originals. And,
I was
Yep.
wondering. I was like, that's going to be a little. I don't know.
Yeah, and we're not really gonna go 1v1 either. I guess we can kind of decide which ones are similar enough to the
Yeah.
other ones and maybe go in that sense. But for 33, we had Slaughter Cinema 2, we had the Museum Deadly Exhibits, we had Goblin's Feast, Major Sweets Candy Factory, Monstros, The Monsters of Latin America, and Triplets of Terror. I put the Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines in IPs just because it's kind of that in between, and if I didn't put it there, it would be 3 IPs from 33.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
more of an IP
7 originals.
than it is an original.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yep. And this year's originals obviously are Dolls Let's Play Dead, Hatchet and Chains Demon Bounty Hunters, Galkin Monsters of the North, El Artista, and Grave of Flesh. I think the easiest right off the top would be kind of comparing the Monsters houses. We have Monstros, Monsters of Latin America, versus Galkin Monsters of the North. I think that's a pretty easy comparison. And I'm curious where we land on this because Monstros, the Monsters of Latin America, was a very divided house. It was like entering each segment of the different monsters. They each sort of had their time to shine versus Galkin, which is kind of just the one monster. And there's various subsidiary. That's not even a word, I don't think.
Subsidiary.
Subsidiary monsters in there.
I don't know if that's the
but
word you're thinking.
Right,
Probably
yeah.
not.
Yes. I know where you're going with it. Yeah, I get it.
There's minions. There's monster minions
Yeah.
in there. But yeah,
I mean, look at it this way.
I don't know.
Monstros, there were 3 very diverse monsters from obviously like a very specific culture, but it was very much different monsters, all with their own motivations and all their own settings and world that they lived in. Galkin is very much a singular. This is from one place, one culture, one type of like true like threat, if you think about it that way. And then I think like you're saying, a bunch of like individual, like what do you call it? Like minions,
Side
I think
characters.
you use the word, yeah, like side actors.
Yeah.
So there's there's the difference. For me, I'll just make this easy. I think Monstros, there was more going on. There was more unique things to look at, and it was an interesting divide between each of the, we'll guess they call them monster layers. Each layer was very different from one another. Galkin, for me, there's two high points, and then everything else just kind of fell flat. So if I had to pick between the two, I'm taking Monstros. I know that Monstros ended kind of on a, but like it's still, for the most part, was still very much. I think there was a lot going for it, whereas Galkin feels like they reused a lot of it, and then they had a couple really cool set pieces, but it wasn't enough for me to be like, this is a really cool, memorable house.
Yeah, I think with when you're comparing monsters, I think Monstros takes it. I think we get a better idea of what those monsters are. Name wise, I don't even remember. God, I haven't Telepucci, Lechuza, and I can't remember the other one.
El
I'll just go with
Cibone.
whatever you're saying.
El Cibone, yes, El Cibone. That one was my favorite, the spine ripping guy. But like with their rooms, you could easily define who they were and their style and their vibe. Galkin, we don't necessarily get much about the monster itself. It's kind of the monster, I guess, attacking the village. I don't fully know.
But we only really get her. I say her, but like get that monster in the beginning, and then after that, we don't really we don't hear from him again.
Yeah, we get like the Galkin, which I guess the Galkin is the thing at the end. I don't know.
I thought the Galkin
Maybe.
was. I thought that was like
Her?
the
Yeah.
horn lady at the beginning, but
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
It could be her too. I don't. Again, but this kind of goes into that point where we have more questions versus Monstros. We were like, okay, I get it. I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think Monstros made me feel that I'm in Latin America way more than Galkin makes me feel like I'm in the North.
Yeah.
I think Galkin's a better looking house. I think set wise, finale Galkin takes it by a landslide, not even close. But man, if I'm choosing which one to go through, that's a little bit of a toss up for me. So Jamie, what are your thoughts? And then I'll kind of try to figure out mine.
It's tough with this one because I do like both houses, but for different reasons. I feel like Like you said, I feel like Galkin is nicer to look at. There's more to look at. I feel like Monstros executed the story better, and like you said, you knew what was going on. You were learning about these different monsters, and you were seeing what they did and all that kind of stuff. I normally like the anthology style houses where it goes room by room, telling you a different story in full, essentially. But it's very tough because I feel like we've already ran Galkin more than we did Monstros by a landslide, at least for me. So it's tough to compare in that sense. But I'm gonna have to go with Galkin.
Let's see. I can tell you right now how many I've done. Yeah, I've
Well,
done Galkin more.
Unlike a lot of others, I do not tally my house counts because I don't care to keep track. I really don't. It's
I'm
just
curious.
it's just another thing for me to do.
I'm actually. Oh no, I have done Monstros more. But we still have more nights to go to. I think I'm gonna go Monstros, even with the bad ending. I do like Galkin, but like Seamus, like what you said, it does feel like, you know, aspects of Blood Moon. Like it feels like a half of a Blood Moon, and it just doesn't. I don't know if
It
it
feels like we've
fits.
seen it before.
Yeah,
And I don't think with
yeah.
Monstros I felt like we saw it before. And plus, eh, like I do love the ending to Galkin. I think that monster at the end of Galkin it's some incredible puppetry work. They really do nail that in a lot of ways. In a lot of their houses, they do really really good with it. But I think that last like big scene in Monstros, not including the weird devil death thing, but
Yeah.
the bird monster, I think, is some of the best, animatronic puppetry work that Universal's ever done. And it's very memorable. Like I can remember that for years down the road. I won't forget that. I think it was done so well.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go to our next one that it really came right from it. I think that's the easiest way to compare them. Slaughter Cinema 2 and Hatchet and Chains Demon Bounty Hunters. The predecessor versus the current. I mean, they are completely different houses. The only comparison being that Hatchet and Chains happens to be in both of them. So it is a little bit tougher to compare these two. One is a staple of HHN, maybe not the second iteration, but the name Slaughter Cinema is a big cornerstone of HHN at this point. This was more of the fun house to go through. It was very, there was bits that were jokey and schlocky, and it was all fun and stuff like that. And then you have Hatchet and Chains, Demon Bounty Hunters, which is not really the goofy funny. It's actually become a very intense house. Is the Western aspect. I don't know. What are your thoughts on these two? Do you think this is a fair comparison?
No.
No,
well,
because
no, not really.
It isn't, because you've got a compilation house against taking like a singular idea and stretching it out to a full length. And to be honest with you, I think if I had to pick one or the other, I want Slaughter because I prefer the compilation. I think it's kind of fun to have the going through different movies and seeing different movies up close and different genres of movies, different schlock. Whereas Hatchet and Chains is taking, again, one idea and saying what can we do as a full experience, and I think that works great too. But I think if I had to if I could keep one or the other, I'd keep Slaughter.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the same thing. It's hard to with some of these originals. I know some of them have similar themes, but it's gonna you kind of look at it as a whole as what you preferred over the other event, I guess. So like if I'm looking at it in this spot, we had Museum last year where Hatchet and Chains is.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I would definitely
so.
take Hatchet and Chains over Museum, but if we're talking about Hatchet and Chains versus Slaughter Cinema, I would take Slaughter Cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, what we're really going to do is it's more comparing the years together.
Yeah.
That's what
it's hard to compare house to house because, again, they're all very, even though there are things that rhyme with each other year to year, but there's still very different. So
yeah. This is the tough one because there's no compilation-y house this year to really hold it up to. I mean, the closest would be if it was like, Slaughter versus, I guess, Terrifier, because that's kind of like a segment-based house, but we're going to keep IPs with IPs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to go Hatchet, obviously. I think that's just more the way I've been running that house lately, I have a lot of fun in that. But Slaughter Cinema 2, I think, would beat out some other houses from this year as well. So I don't necessarily think it's a fair comparison, but I think it's probably the closest I could do for those two. But no, I Slaughter, I had a lot of fun in, but it's just, I'm never going to say no to a Slaughter Cinema.
Yeah.
They could have this thing be in Slaughter Cinema 6, and I'd still be excited to see what
What they
fresh
come up
ideas
with.
they're cooking up. Yeah, absolutely. But Hatchet is just firing pretty hard for me right now. Let's compare some Dylan houses. Let's do Goblin's Feast and El Artista. Both are designed by the same person, but other than that, that's kind of where the comparison ends. You have this sort of goofy, fantastical, really absurd concept going up against a very classic horror ghost story concept. I think El Artista, far and away, is beautiful. But man, I had so much fun in Goblins. It also had a sense of beauty to it. It had that little town center with the spinning water wheel. You had a lot of goofy stuff in there. What are we thinking on these two? Is this one? This one's probably a little bit better than the last one, comparison wise, at least I hope.
Yeah.
Man, it's hard. I don't know. It's hard to
so
compare because
hard,
they're
yeah.
both they were both really good in their own way.
Mhm.
I think Goblin was a surprise for me. I think that I wasn't expecting as much out of it than what I got, and it was definitely a pleasant surprise. It was fun. It was a really fun house to experience. It wasn't scary, but it was very.
No, yeah.
It was interesting. That it was varied. It wasn't like the same thing over and over again. Whereas El Artista is just beautiful, just really well put together, really well laid out. The story works really well. It fits Horror Nights. It's very much a Horror Nights house. So it's like, could we have both of them?
Yeah.
Right.
It's really hard to say like one or the other. I think this is why it's going to come down to more like, just combined, which year's originals are better than the others. But I think if by slight edge, it's got to be Artista, just because it's more my preference. I just want something like that. I'd prefer that than the goofy, happy, haha, funny house.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Jamie?
Goblins was very fun in its own way, to where it's one of the first houses that I feel like walking through it, I felt as if it was like kind of Halloween Town vibes. Like all the monsters were like talking and like joking with us and like hanging out and stuff like that, which I really liked. The makeup and the costuming and everything was just fantastic. And like you said, Nick, there was some really beautiful parts in that house. One of the ones, my favorite, being kind of when you walk through the kitchen and it had the glass pane window to make it look like it had the sunlight coming through with like the herbs and the dried flowers hanging from it. Love that part. But when it comes to El Artista, I feel like overall that's just a theme that I enjoy more, like a classic haunted house or a haunted manor theme. And just the way that Dylan works on these houses with the color palettes and everything is just so like top tier and top notch quality that it's, I don't know. I feel like it's making you feel like instead of like these being like houses based off films, it's like these houses have been based off like books. And I feel like that's how Artista made me feel. Like I was really literally walking through Sergio's journal entries and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, since the theming is so different, it's tough, but I would have to say, just for my personal preference, I would pick Artista. If it was a sense to where we don't have either of these houses, it's a whole nother year, one that I would like to do more of the other, like I'd like to run that house again, I would say Artista probably.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn between these. Artista, beautiful. It's a very fun house. It's very varied. It does feel as if it's just this unending house of madness. It almost feels like Clue to me, where it's like, oh, this is the ballroom, this is the green room, this is the entrance. It's just, there's so much variety inside the house, which is really fun. It hasn't been firing on all cylinders for me as of late. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just missing stuff. Maybe I'm missing scares, whatever. But whenever I went through Goblins, I just had a fun time. It was so fun. It was that party atmosphere when you walk into the little bar area. The characters were up in your face and like getting real close and just having a good time with it. I think I'm going to lean towards Goblins, surprisingly enough. I just came out of that house with a happiness level higher than when I walk out of Artista as of late. Now, the year obviously is not done yet. There's still time to, whatever, get some good runs in. But I just had such a good time when I was going through Goblins. It was just happy. It had all the different wacky audio triggers. It had the finale with like the giant Goblin King and like the little happy princey guy or whatever. That was, have a good Goblin's feast. Aha! Like it just, I don't know. I enjoyed going through that house a lot. I really do like that. And I'm not a big our discussion of 2 years ago or whatever with dragons. Like me and Seamus aren't. At least I'm not a big fantasy guy with that genre, but this didn't feel too fantasy-ish. Like you said, it felt like Halloween Town.
You like lightheartedness though too, and
yes, I do.
Yeah. I mean, you are a Hubie Halloween fan, so I mean,
number one
so
fan.
Good.
So
good.
I have to imagine like that's part of it, and it doesn't surprise me. I feel like Al Artista, when you're comparing it to something like Blood Moon, it's obviously not gonna be able to. I don't think it touches Blood Moon, but it's good. It's really good. But when it comes to these two houses, it really comes down to preference of, do you want lightheartedness and more of a party, or do you want more gothic, melancholy, scary, that type of feeling? And that's really what it comes down to between the two of them.
Yeah, and I like that feeling. I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm just missing stuff right now lately in Artista, or maybe because my expectations were so high versus Goblins, where my expectations were so low. I was more surprised and caught off guard by Goblins as well. But that's kind of where I land for this one. This one, I think this one works pretty well. Major Sweets Candy Factory with Dolls Let's Play Dead. They're both sort of in this like very wacky world, kind of on the colorful side. I know Major Sweets was a little bit more dull in the colors. It was more of that industrial factor versus that wacky Willy Wonka color, but it was still the different candies. It was dirty, but you still had Miss Treats, who had the big colorful pink dress and the pink hair, Major Sweets in his orange suit. Like it had a little bit of fun to it. So yeah, so sorry, I was reading text. But yeah, so that's where I think that this comparison kind of lays out. Do we think that these are similar enough houses to kind of compare?
You said Dolls and Major Sweets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I would. Overall, I feel like they're two very fun and whimsical houses, so I do feel like it's a good matchup. More fun, which is tough because I really do enjoy the Doll's House. I would think Major Sweets probably. I feel like there was a little bit more to look at. I mean, you have guest. Oh my God, I can't talk tonight. Guest activated triggers in both of the houses, which makes it fun and more immersive. But overall, I think I might have to go with Dolls on this one, only because my expectations of Major Sweets with how it was, even though it was fun and whimsical and lighthearted as we used to describe goblins and stuff, it just wasn't as bright and colorful as I expected. I think it was interesting that they went with like the industrial vibe for Major Sweets, which I think it worked, but just not what I was hoping for. And I really love the bright and just colorfulness of Dolls that we don't get to see in houses very often.
Yeah, I agree. Seamus?
Yeah, I'll make this easy on you. Dolls is better than Sweets. And I like Sweets. I mean, I really did. But Sweets seemed like messed up Willy Wonka, even though Willy Wonka was already pretty messed up. But Dolls is just unique. I think there's a lot about Dolls that we haven't seen before. Yeah, you could say that it's like Small Soldiers or some of the like messed up Toy Story, and sure, that's part of it. But I think that this one there's more to look at. It's a little more open, whereas Sweets felt kind of constrained by the space that it was in. And I just think I don't know. I just feel like I just have more fun with Dolls than I did with Sweets. I think that maybe the guest activated triggers in Sweets were somewhat better, but I mean, that for me, that's here nor there. I don't really care so much about.
That's just a little
about
extra.
those. I mean, they're fun. They're a fun little Easter egg to find, but they don't like determine whether or not I enjoy a house or not. And I think Dolls just is it's a better story.
Yeah, I think Dolls is set wise a little bit more fun to look at and kind of play in.
Yeah.
It's the scale aspect is something different that we haven't really seen done before. Major Suites, it was that dirty feeling, which I kind of really did like. But for me, like I think I mentioned on the rankings, or maybe our mid-season rankings battle, the Helping Pups episode, the Dolls scares for me have just become too samey. It's too like see it from afar, like it's coming. Major Suites, I think I had more fun in. It was a lot tighter. Which is kind of the nature of the house, right? It was built to be that way versus Dolls is kind of a little bit more open and it's supposed to be that way. I just think with Major Suites, again, that fun level when I was out of it, I think I just enjoyed it a little bit more. Also, again, maybe because that was the first time I had seen them do a good house in that location, I was like proud. I was like, oh, thanks. They actually can pull off a house in Fast and Furious. It's not impossible. But yeah, I think for that one, I honestly think I'm just going to go Major Suites. I don't, I think it's pretty close, but it just slightly edges it out. And then our final three originals to kind of mash up all together would be 2 from 33 and 1 from 34. With 33, we had Triplets of Terror and Museum Deadly Exhibits. And 34, we have Grave of Flesh. Now, these are sort of like, it sounds bad. This is kind of the bottom of the barrel for people. This was, fun houses, but they weren't on most people's top of their lists. So it's a little bit trickier to kind of compare these, but vastly different stories. Triplets of Terror, I think, was fun, but not completely fleshed out. I think it got a little choppy at times just because of the time jumps, and it wasn't really fully explained as to what the hell was exactly going on. And then you had Museum, which was just a mess. It really was, unfortunately. Cool concept in theory. I think that just the direction they chose didn't really pan out. Then we have Grave of Flesh, which again is another confusing house, but still fun to run. It's definitely been growing for me once you kind of shut your brain off a little bit, but it's still fun. But I guess when you have the hodgepodge of this pile, what are your thoughts on these houses before we kind of give our overall thoughts of what's better, 33 or 34 for originals?
Well, I do miss Triplets of Terror. I can't even lie. Even though it wasn't some people's favorites, I very much enjoyed it. I really love the backwoods hillbilly horror, as some might call it. That's kind of my thing. Rob Zombie's kind of vibe. I enjoy Grave of Flesh. I would say kick out Museum, and it would come down to Grave of Flesh and Triplets. And it's tough to say, because I don't think I would pick Museum for 33, but I would pick Triplets. I would miss Grave of Flesh and replace it with Triplets.
Okay.
If that's, I would kick out Grave of Flesh if that means I could do Triplets again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So it's
Seamus?
It's hard to, no, I'm just thinking to myself.
Yeah, none of the three of them are, I don't know. I'm not wild about any of them. We all know how I feel about Triplets and Museum. I think at least they tried something. Did it hit? Not entirely, but at least they attempted something. Whereas Grave, I still have no idea what they're going for with it. I don't like it. I don't care how many runs I get that are good.
Yeah.
Will my opinion change? It's like just muddy brown painting with nothing discernible in the image. It's just paint for its paint's sake. Triplets, never really was a fan. Probably it will never be. It won't be memorable. I'll forget that it existed in 5 years. And then Museum, again, just nothing crazy about it. It's just, at least out of the three, at least it was somewhat unique, and they tried to do something different with it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of, I don't know what's at the top of it. I know Museum's at the bottom, and then I'm kind of interchangeable between Grave and Triplets, honestly. I could go either way for me. So I think just looking as a whole then, as originals, 33, again, Slaughter Cinema 2, Museum, Goblin's Feast, Major Suites, Monstros, and Triplets, versus this year's Dolls, Hatchet, Galkin, Artista, and Grave. Where are your minds at for these originals? Which year is a little bit more enticing for you? Obviously, with 33, you get like one extra one, but, whatever.
I think.
do you want me to
Go ahead.
surprise everybody?
Go ahead, Seamus.
I'm going to prefer 33.
Really?
I think 33's
Wow.
originals overall were more varied. There was something for everybody, I think, whereas this year I think it's just it's weak. It's weaker compared to last year's originals. And I don't know if that's because partially I prefer, for the most part, I prefer a lot of the IPs this year to last year. Not that we've really talked about them yet, but I just think that if I'm picking overall as a whole, I would prefer last year's originals to this year.
All right. Jamie, where are you at?
The hamster wheel is spinning in my head
Because I'm kind of torn myself, honestly.
I know.
I am a little torn.
now that I think about it.
In all honesty,
Mm.
for me, the only original I would miss is Dolls.
Yeah.
Seamus,
Artista?
you son of a bitch.
I like Artista, don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but
not
again,
as much as
if I'm
some of those others.
if I'm thinking Goblins versus Artista, I could for me that's a trade. Like if we're talking just straight up trade. I mean, obviously if it was Blood Moon, different story, but I think with Artista, I don't know. It's again, I don't think Artista and Dolls are enough for me to be like I would take this year over last year.
Mhm.
I still think
Okay.
last year I prefer Goblins, Goblins, Slaughter, Museum. Even I think that
Mhm.
compared to Grave or, sorry, I think the other one that I'm missing here.
Galkin, Hatchet.
Galkin. Between Grave and Galkin and Museum, I don't know. I know everybody hates Museum, but like I don't.
You found
quite get-
enjoyment in it still.
I don't understand the
Yeah.
hate for it. I really don't. I don't get why it's so hated, but I think if I had to pick them, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think 30. I think 34 is weaker.
Yep. Yeah. I am kind of in that boat a little bit too. The variety of 33, I had so much fun. Slaughter being that goofy compilation. There was so much in there. It felt like I was getting extra bang for my buck just because it was so many ideas. Goblins, I had such a good time in. Major Suites, I had a good time in. Monstros was a fun, kind of scary element to it. And then you have triplets, which I can kind of take or leave. Museum, take or leave. This year, I really love Hatchet. And then I kind of really like some of the others. Galkin, Artista, Dolls, like I like, but I think I have more from 33 that I love, if that makes sense. It's like I love Goblins, I love I love Monstros, I love Major Suites, I love Slaughter. I think I got to go with 33 just for the originals. I think that's a very strong year of originals.
Dare I say, I think I'm gonna pick 33 as well. Because
They
if I'm looking at it, I enjoy Dolls and I enjoy Artista. But if I'm looking back at 33, I had a lot of fun doing Sweets, Slaughter Cinema, Goblins, and Triple Terror.
Mhm.
So I feel like
Yeah.
that kind of outweighed it for me, you know?
Yeah, because even if I take Museum out of the picture and it's like straight up 5v5, like I still think that there's more that I would rank higher.
Right.
If I took the 5 from 33 minus Museum and the 5 from 34 and I put them in a list of 1 through 10, I think there'd be at least 3 from 33 in the top 5. And maybe that's another episode for another day, but I just, and maybe this is a hot take that we're sweeping 33 on originals. I don't know. Let us know in the comments, but those are just fun houses. And maybe, whatever the saying is, distance makes the heart grow fonder or something. Maybe the further we stepped away from it, I'm like thinking a little bit more fondly of these houses versus 34, where I'm still thinking more analytically. And I'm like, oh, well, this little aspect here, I don't remember those detailed nuances from 33 that I would nitpick. So, take this episode with a grain of salt, I think. But 33 for us as the pod, it got the nod. So now let's go to IPs. And we'll kind of brush through these a little bit quicker because there's a little bit less comparison. And I guess because these ones are so varied, we don't have to do these like one-on-one comparisons.
I also feel like, no
We
offense,
don't even-
but like, I don't think there's really much discussion needs to be had.
We don't
I think
even-
I think we're all going to agree
Only
overall
one. Only
which
one.
year is better than the other year. And I mean, if you want to go through them one by one, we can do that. I'm not trying to rush us along, but I'm telling you right now, like, I know what my answer is going to be.
Yeah. I think the 1-versus-1 comparisons are a lot harder with IPs just because they're vastly different. But just for a quick rundown, 33 had A Quiet Place, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Insidious The Further, and then we're counting Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines. And then this year, we obviously have Five Nights, Horrors of the Wyatt Six, Terrifier, Jason Universe, and Fallout. Looking back at 33, Quiet Place was for me, a big swing and miss. I still don't think fondly on it.
Very, very weak house.
I think there was one shining moment, and that was the entrance, the little sign, and then going through the very dark hallway. That's kind of the achievement of the house for me. Jamie's shaking her head.
Not even for me. No, it was an absolute waste of an IP, and I still can't believe they out of all the IPs in the world, they wanted to pick a fucking Quiet Place. And Nick, don't get me wrong. It's pretty cool.
Sorry.
The big Quiet Place. It's okay. The big Quiet Place sign was cool, but we have a whole the fucking excuse my language, Freddy Fazbear's facade that we walk into. And A Quiet Place just had one little board on the thing. And that room, that pitch black room, was cool. I do wish that they utilized the all darkness hallways or rooms more because it does make for good scares. And it was quiet. I'll give it that. But just such a waste for me. And that's just me being a brat because I don't like A Quiet Place, and I feel like there's other IPs that they could have had in its place, but yeah, I can't win them all,
Yeah, it was definitely an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
We had Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which I think surprised a lot of us.
Yeah.
I ended up really enjoying that house more than I thought I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely goofy with enough of nostalgia in there to like really tickle my fancy. Then we had Insidious The Further, which was like hands down one of the scariest houses in the most recent years. This was an extremely fun house. It's also nice that it's a part of a franchise that, I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, which is, I think, hands down the worst Universal Monsters house they've done.
Sadly.
It just is.
I think we can argue to say Insidious was the only IP house last year that was worth waiting more than 20 minutes for.
Mm-hmm.
The Monsters house, again, kind of like Museum. At least they tried. I give them credit for trying something different, but it just didn't work. They had a couple really good moments in it, like the triple scare. If you got that at the right time, probably one of the best scares in a house in the last few years. But again, it was so hard to get that.
Right.
And then, The Quiet Place was weak. The weakest IP we've had in years. And it's too bad because the movies are really fun, but like I think we talked about it leading up to it that I don't know how you're going to make this work as a house.
No, and they didn't.
And I'm not gonna lie to you. Other guests ruined it for me. Like, the parts where you're supposed to have to be quiet, of course you walk it through and it's exactly, Millie. That's exactly what it sounds like.
It's just
shithead 19-year-olds like, let's make as much noise as we can. Like, walking into the parts it's supposed to be quiet, and it's like, no, you're ruining it. Like, shut up. Like, don't just do it like you're supposed to. But no, you just got to make noise because you're the kid who laughed at Schindler's List when your teacher in high school showed you the movie. Like, you're that type of kid, that type of mentality. So you ruined that house for me. Thanks, Jimmy. You ruined the damn house for me. Not Jimmy, our friend Jimmy. I like Jimmy. Jimmy, I love you, Jimmy. If you're listening, Jimmy, I love you. I'm talking about 18-year-old Jimmy from fucking East Lake 17 fucking dirty ass fucking Florida high schools. Whatever. The point is that house was ruined because of the other park goers. And and obviously, like Nick has said this ad nauseum, like the use of puppets in that house was just so overdone. Like, oh my God, can we do something other than just use puppets? But I don't know. That house was rough. But yeah, it's just, I think we can all agree. It's just no comparison. The IPs this year, just, I don't know. I'll let you continue. List them off. List off all of the
34, all the goodies.
Just the amazingness of this season.
This is, we got what we wanted with Five Nights, right? It was exactly what you would kind of want it to be. Kind of comparing puppets, houses, A Quiet Place, and Five Nights. Five Nights is not even comparable.
It shoved a massive humble pie right in my pie hole. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's exactly what you wanted.
I was not on Team FNAF going into this season, and it was like, "Hey, Seamus,
really?
You're an idiot, and here's why." And I'm like, "Oh, you're right. I'm an idiot.
I am an idiot. Say you're an idiot. I'm an idiot." Horrors of the Wyatt Six. Feels more like an original house, but it is just so fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's also a tearjerker. It's definitely the house that's like, man, like, God, like, I'm not supposed to feel these types of emotions going through a house, but you do. I mean, it's just, it's an incredibly emotional house. You can see it in, even in the pre-show, watching those videos with Bo and seeing just his emotions, talking about, like, you know, obviously doing the acting thing and kind of like playing up the character, but at the same time, you can definitely tell there's a lot of heart that went into this, from both sides, from both WWE and from the Wyatt, you know, estate and the family, and Mike and the team at Universal, and just a lot of like the love that went into this house. Like it just gives it so much life. Even if you're not a massive WWE fan, if you're not a massive follower of that story and Wyatt's story, and like me, like I love wrestling as a kid. It's a nostalgia thing for me, but there's enough about it that I'm just like, you know, I can just see the heart that went into it, and I think I appreciate that more than anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is special. It feels more than, like you said, it feels more than just a house. We have Terrifier, which is one of the longer houses in recent history. It's gory, it's fun, it's not necessarily scary, and it's not supposed to be. It's completely varied. It is just a blood fest, and it's just in the best way. We have Jason Universe, which, you know, say what you will, I think it is probably, if you held it against the IPs of last year, it would come in second place, very close. I would put Insidious first, and then maybe Jason tied with Ghostbusters. But versus this year, where it's definitely not in the top 3 for IPs, because for me, I think you kind of, you know, I would have it in there, but I think if you want to look at it unbiased, you could say Five Nights, Terrifier, and WWE are above Jason Universe. But it is what it is. It uses a pretty not great location in a fun way. You get the little gauntlet, which, for better or worse, it's a bunch of Jasons. And then you have Fallout, which I think is fine. It's gotten a lot better. But I think for fans of Fallout, it just hits the nail on the head. I think it's what you want. Again, kind of like what we talked about with Five Nights. It kind of is what it is. It didn't really... I think if you're a big fan of any of these properties this year, besides maybe Jason, I think you are happy with what you got. Versus past years where you're like, I like the IP, but this house is kind of meh. But if overall thoughts, I guess, between the two, I kind of said my piece. Seamus, you sort of said yours. But Jamie, when you're kind of looking at these two lists now, comparing the IPs from last year against this year, where is your mind? I know this year's obviously like home run for Jamie.
Yes.
It's all your favorite. If you put Black Phone in here over Fallout, like it's your year.
So I was even going to say, if we're comparing it like that, obviously I'm going to pick this year. We have more IPs than we did last year, and they're IPs that are more near and dear to my heart that I enjoy. But I would say I could care less for Fallout or Jason and replace it with Insidious from last year, and I'd be happy with it. That would really go over the top for me. But
I would trade. I'd give up for Insidious. Yeah, that was just such a fun thing. Yeah.
It was just such a fun thing, and I wish I know they wanted to take that scare and put it in the Jason house, and I feel like the Jason house had so much potential for me. Even not really enjoying Jason as a slasher that much, I feel like the last bit of that house could have been done really well, but I know they had to work with what they had with the logistics of that house, how it goes. But if we're looking at overall lists compared to 33 and 34, I'm most definitely going to have to pick 34's IP list.
Oh, yeah. I like we said, we don't really need to spend too much time on it.
Yeah.
It's not close.
34 takes it. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Sorry
if I answered that wrong and I was supposed to go into more detail. I apologize.
No.
Trying to jump on my lap, so I had to.
I think you just
distract him.
You said exactly what everybody was thinking, at least from the three of us, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have to cut them a little bit of slack. We talked about it ad nauseum, again, not to use the same phrase twice in the same episode. But last year, clearly Epic was taking up a lot of their time. And I think that they did what they could with what they had.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that meant some really weird choices, a la The Quiet Place. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, if we're picking between the two, it's no contest. I think this year just they and not just I don't think it's just this year versus last year. I think it's this year versus the last few years. I think they just completely nailed it out of the park when it comes to variety with IPs. There's something for everybody, kind of like Nick was saying. I think Jason's incredibly weak, but at the same time, it's exactly what you expected it to be. It's exactly what you're looking for. If you're looking for Jason, I mean, you're getting exactly that.
Mhm.
And again, even then, like, I feel like for the most part, the house works. I just feel like there have been other houses that have used that space better than what Jason did. And I think that's where it's weak for me. But at the same time, I think the 5 this year, it's been a very long time for me to say that I prefer the IPs to the originals. And I think this year is that year that the IPs just are better in every way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. To finish off the houses, I think what we should do is take all 20 and list them 1 through 20. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, what's he?
Jamie's like,
I literally just
want to see Jamie's face on that one.
No. That was literally like the office
what
staring
the
at the
fuck?
camera. I was looking over here and then I went,
We're gonna list all 20
We're
items,
going to rank all 20 right
individually.
now. It's going to take us another 40 minutes. We're going to do it.
Yeah. No, we will do that on another day. I think that's another.
We're
I
not
think that's a
gonna do
good.
that. Don't
Actually-
don't give the people the hope.
I actually
That's an
don't think we
off-season
are going to do that
episode.
another day. Okay,
No,
maybe.
that's an here's a good off-season episode that we will do. We're gonna rank all the last houses from the last 5, maybe the 5 years of the pod. Big episode.
Oh, wow.
Just that, strictly just that. Though.
Lucky
no, yeah, it's gonna be fun. We need something to talk about in
I'm
December and
messing that
January.
This is
Wow.
true. We got to give the people something. I mean, we're the one. People always saying like you make the year go by faster. So we got to give people something.
Yes, absolutely. All right, but here's the big question now. We talked about it. So it looked like for us, mostly Zones took it for 34 besides New York. 33 took the originals and 34 took the IPs. Now, it seems a little bit close. It seems close on paper at this point. Is it that close when you're comparing the event as a whole?
No, it isn't. I
don't
think
think
this
so
year
either.
is just. We said it when we went in day one. We're like, damn, like this we're back, baby. Like it feels like we're back. We finally have an event that is memorable and worth talking about years from now. I still think this might be one of the best events we've had in a very long time. So yeah, I don't think it's close. I think the originals don't hold it back. I think they're a little they're weaker than last year, but I think last year they needed something to step up, and the originals were what stepped up last year because they didn't have a whole lot else to go on. This year, the originals suffer more from the fact that everything is just so much stronger.
Yes.
Yeah, it is wild after this, hour and 20-minute discussion. I was pretty close on a lot of stuff, but then when I take a step back and look at it as a whole, I'm like, you cannot with a straight face say 33 is better. I just don't think you can.
No.
So yeah, I'm fully on board with 34. And Jamie, I'm just out of, not to just speak for you, but I mean, say your piece, but I'm pretty sure everybody can guess it.
No. I do agree. I think 34 is much better. And it's funny that you say that because even this year we've talked about it too. It's like, even though 33 won over our hearts with the original houses, even the ones we have this year for originals really aren't that weak. It's just there was more that piqued our interest for last year, and that's totally okay too. And I know not as many people are as big as fans of the IP houses as I am, but I just got to say that I knew that these big names were going to do well, but I am very surprised how well they've been doing consistently all season with just the wait times alone we've been seeing, which is crazy to me. And even with the originals too, it's been a popular year, and that just shows that, I mean, I know more people more and more every year get into Horror Nights, but those big names draw, and it just shows that this is overall like a good one. I feel like there hasn't been a memorable year like this since, at least for me, since 29 when we had House of 1,000 Corpses. And again, that was just my personal preference too, but even that year the originals were fun. Yeah, even I was trying to think earlier before we started the episode comparing with like food wise and stuff like that. I think there is a couple more food items here and there that I like better from this year. I mean, we had the Ghostbuster s'mores last year, which was absolutely iconic, and the Jason s'mores doesn't even lay a hair next to what it could have been. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought that me and Seamus finally saw the show. I thought the show was really good this year.
Yeah, we didn't even
Show
compare
was
shows.
really good.
We did like the show. Let me not get into another subject here. No, joking.
Yeah, you're the one that's opening the door for more discussion.
I know. But overall, I'm gonna have to go with.
No, but you're right. I think not to go on another tangent.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But you're right. But the show, I think this year surprised me.
It
I
did,
was worried
me
that
too.
I was gonna feel like that wasn't worth waiting for. But it's better than last
We
year's
had
version
fun.
of the show.
It was. I agree.
So
Yeah, absolutely. So, yep, I think 34 reigns. That's for sure. All right. I think that about wraps it up. Something that we did sort of mention as a little post house cleaning. We made note of, sticking with us in the off season. I think this is a pretty big episode as we kind of, unfortunately, get towards the end of the season. But hopefully you stick around for the off season, because I am one that can never really appreciate what I have in front of me. I just always look forward to what's next. And I'm very excited for these end of year / off season episodes. We sort of have a routine every year where we do the same ones, but it's different based off of the year. And, we have our final rankings episode, which is really fun. We have our awards show, our Fear and Beer awards show, which is always very fun to wrap up the season. And then we kind of, usually on the first or second week after HHN ends, we do our way too early predictions. And that's always a favorite one of mine as well. More so because it's kind of the start of the new year. And it gets me something to look forward to, and it gives me, I just like putting that feather in our cap of saying, hey, we talked about that 9 months ago
Like
before
Yankee
it was
Doodle.
announced. Before there was any sort of rumors or scuttlebutt or whatever. But, I really do look forward to those episodes. Those are some of my favorites. That and our guest the Matt
I do
prediction.
enjoy Scuttlebutt.
I love that stuff. So as sad as it is, it's a constant cycle. We know what we know when it starts, we know when it ends. And I'm looking forward to the off season a lot. And we have a lot of fun stuff in store for everyone that chooses to stick with us. If you don't, then cool. We'll see you next year for our August episodes when you're trying to see
When you
what's
need
up
us
with
again.
Halloween Horror Nights. But please
I
feel
don't
free to
believe
stick
that.
with us
I
throughout
believe
the year.
everybody listens to us week in and week out, and there's no one that
there's-
turns it off
there's
in
a lot.
the off season.
At any
It's a
point.
lie.
No, there's a lot of them, that's for sure. But before we go, house cleaning, go watch that scavenger hunt video on YouTube. It's really, really fun.
Yes.
And we have our Helping Pups episode still live. So make sure you follow us on Instagram so you can go check those posts about listening to that episode. It's a very, very fun time. You get to hear from a lot of people that you might not hear as frequently on our feed, but maybe we will change that this off season because I love chatting with all of them. So it's a good time. So definitely chip in, do your part, help this community get better and better one piece at a time. And that's really all I got for us. So until next time, this is Nick.
This is Seamus.
This is Jamie.
Happy Homes.
And thank you for listening to another episode of Fear and Beer, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on whatever streaming platform you are listening to us on. You can find us on all of our socials at Fear and Beer Pod.